guys want to turn your mics on? At least council people, turn your mics on.
This is nice. Here you go, Caroline.
He doesn't.
Say again.
Marianne does.
Top first. Nice. How do you do that? Mr. Mayor? Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Chrissy, the floor is yours, young lady.
My name is Chrissy Maj, 825 David Drive, Streetsboro, Ohio, 44241. I am asking for your support. On Saturday, February 28th, 2026, my team, Forest Grin and Red, will once again take on the unique challenge of jumping into the freezing waters to benefit the Special Olympics athletes like myself. The money raised helps our very own Special Olympic athletes participated in this sports, which they would not been able to do otherwise. Because of my health issues, I am no longer allowed to do the pole plunge. I have had to adjust which sport I participated in and how to do them. The change is very difficult for me, but there is no. The point is, I am still available to be involved in sport. There are so many other Special Olympics athletes that face similar challenges. We just want a chance. I need your help. Please consider joining my team for the Grin and Red and take the plunge. If the plunge is not your idea of fun, will you please take the time to donate? Every dollar makes a difference. Thank you. Even though I am no longer able to physically plunge, I will be there to support my team regardless of what Mother Nature is in store. I am lucky to have an amazing team that is willing to brave the cold and plunge with me. Together we can make the difference.
Where is the plunge at? Lake Erie still?
The plunge is in
Edgewater?
Jumping in, Mike.
I may do it.
Full clothing, please.
1 year. It's cold.
Hey, come on, people. If Mayor can do it, if you guys could, then there's no, absolutely no.
You've been doing it every year.
You can do it, so does Mayor. Mayor?
years with you, Chrissy, about 4 or 5 years I did with you. I will definitely donate to the cause, and I have done every year. Chrissy's usually number one. We want to keep her there, right?
Better keep me down.
I'm just taking.
She has proxies. That's fine. Did I tell people doing it?
Cousin.
Dig a big hole through the ice.
Maybe I'll make Josh do it. He's younger. Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to call this Service Committee meeting of Monday, February 9th, 2026 to order. Mr. Michniak, can you lead us in the invocation? And Mayor, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
If we could all heads. Dear Lord, grant us patience, guidance, and wisdom as we go about the business of the city, remembering to respect each other's opinions even if we don't agree, so that in the end we can come to decisions that are in the best interest of the people of Streetsboro. Amen.
Caroline, can you please call roll?
Ms. Wagner? Mr. Lampa?
Here.
Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mr. Ring?
Here.
Mr. Michniak?
Here.
Mr. Hannon?
Here.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here. Motion to excuse Jen, Ms. Wagner.
Second.
First and a second to excuse Ms. Wagner. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, she is excused. Item 4, disposition of minutes. We have the regular Service Committee meeting of January 12th, 2026.
Motion to accept as written. Second.
First and a second to accept the minutes as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes have been accepted. Item 5, old business. There is none. Item 6, new business. Item A, Annual Fair Housing Act presentation. Mr. Todd Peets.
Good evening, City Council. Because the city gets CDB, community development block grants, every other year, we have to come every other year to talk about fair housing. So we've prepared, or
Can you, just for the record, introduce yourself for people at home? It's live simul broadcast. Just your name, where you're from.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was used to the other place.
No, no.
But my name's Todd Peets. I'm the director of Portage County Regional Planning Commission, and we process the CBG grants for the commissioners and also for you all. The commissioners are the ones who the grant monies flow through. But because of the grant funding, we have to do a fair housing training, and we do it with you all. The idea is that if you hear fair housing issues, contact us immediately so that we can help those individuals, number one, and also make sure that they're taken care of. Whether it's bed bugs or leaky ceilings or air conditioner, heat work, we'll help them. Those are landlord-tenant issues, but we'll help them with those issues. But tonight we have a fair housing video, and it's geared more for and John's not here, but that's okay. I can always talk with John. That's fine. So with that, it's like, well, how does zoning impact fair housing? Well, increasing the size of homes or you're increasing lot size, that has an impact to the cost. Now that's affordability if you ask me, but sometimes people perceive that as trying to keep, especially with larger houses, keep low to moderate income folks out of your community. There's other things too though that impact zoning, such as you have your front yard setbacks. Mostly in subdivisions, they built right to that front setback line. You get older, you need a wheelchair ramp. That's considered a structure, and that's a violation of zoning if you run it in the front setback. So there's something called reasonable accommodation, and reasonable accommodation is basically saying, like, listen, let the person continue to live in their home and reasonably accommodate this temporary ramp that's not going to be there for forever. It's just going to be here as long as that person needs that ramp to enter their home. So that's another example of something that zoning impacts when it comes to fair housing. And with that, we have a short presentation. It's only a couple minutes, 3 minutes long, I think it is. And I don't know where I press go at.
I think our guy's talking about it over here. Go push.
How does the Fair Housing Act relate to zoning laws? Have you ever wondered how laws about housing connect with local rules about land use? The Fair Housing Act, passed in 1968, plays a key role in this relationship. This law aims to stop discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, and familial status. While it does not directly control zoning laws, it has a significant impact on how these local regulations operate. Zoning laws are the rules that determine how land can be used in a community. They specify what types of buildings can be constructed, where they can be built, and how they can be used. Local governments create these laws to manage development and land use. However, the Fair Housing Act ensures that these zoning practices do not discriminate against individuals based on the protected characteristics mentioned earlier. One important aspect of the Fair Housing Act is that it does not override local zoning laws. Instead, it requires that these laws do not unfairly target or exclude certain groups. For example, if a zoning rule allows a group of unrelated individuals to live together, it cannot deny the same right to a group of people with disabilities. This means that zoning laws must be fair and inclusive. Another key point is that the Fair Housing Act allows individuals with disabilities to request reasonable accommodations in zoning laws. This means that if a person has a specific need related to their disability, they can ask for changes to zoning rules to ensure they have equal access to housing. These accommodations can vary based on individual needs and may involve modifications to existing zoning regulations. The Fair Housing Act has been particularly relevant in discussions about group homes for individuals with disabilities. Local zoning laws cannot impose unfair restrictions on these homes if similar arrangements are allowed for groups without disabilities. This ensures that everyone has the same opportunities for housing, regardless of their circumstances. Enforcement of the Fair Housing Act is carried out by the Department of Justice and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Agencies provide guidance to local governments to ensure compliance with the Act. They also issue statements to clarify how the Act applies to zoning practices. Understanding the connection between the Fair Housing Act and zoning laws is essential in the context of civil rights history. It highlights how federal civil rights laws can influence local regulations to prevent discrimination. This relationship continues to be vital in promoting fair housing practices across the United States, ensuring that everyone has equal access to housing opportunities.
This morning at exactly 10:03.
So that was a short video. Does anybody have any questions? I probably should have introduced Barb Safara. She's our CBG specialist, replacing Lisa Reeves, who's with us for over 30 years. She's been with us for just a few months. But we're excited to work with her. But do you have any questions? Does anything come to mind that you think, hey, I've heard about this fair housing thing? I want to ask questions. Does anybody have any?
So Todd, you said if a resident needs help with the furnace or leaky roof, well, what is the process?
Call us.
Just
Just have your resident call us, and we'll assist them. So we talk about like with a furnace or a leaky roof, they can escrow their money. I mean, there's a process, a legal process that we'll explain to them. So we don't say don't pay them. You take the money, you legally put it into an escrow account, and when the landlord fixes it, the landlord will get their money. But we do provide guidance.
Now, if they're a homeowner, they can still call you, right? Doesn't have to be a renter, or?
Well, a homeowner can call us, but typically fair housing, I'm trying to think with a homeowner, usually we're dealing with renters. With a homeowner can call us, anybody can call us technically. I mean, we're a public agency. But if anybody has any questions, call us and we'll see what we can do.
Do they have to be in a protected class?
No, they are, fair housing is not like protected classes, just because you feel like you're just being discriminated against, you can still come to us. There was a case in, I'm using Ravenna as an example. There was a landlord, for example, who didn't want kids in their units because it was a two-story unit. It was like four to six first floor, and then there was 4 to 6 second floors. So they didn't want to put any kids in the second floor, which is a violation of fair housing because of the familial status. Because if what happened was a single woman actually wanted to rent the unit, and they said no because they don't rent the kids, and there was no lower level units available. So she ended up getting put, and it wasn't us, but somebody else put her in contact with HUD. HUD investigated. They did some cold calls where they just acted like they were interested in the units and the same story. And they were also told, nope, sorry. And that was like $125,000 settlement for that. And that makes sense because the kids, when I say it makes sense as a landlord to say, hey, I'm really trying to take care of my lower level people, and they didn't want the kids running around disturbing the lower level. From that standpoint, it kind of makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is now you violated the young lady's civil rights by saying their family couldn't live there. Any other questions? I love what you've done with the place. Very nice. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Item B, T7941, contract with Van Kuren for tree removal for State Route 303 diagonal project. Mr. Gorog.
So, and if, I believe there was also a memo included that that stated the amount. So John Wood was really working on this because right when I came on, this was already sort of ongoing with this. So if you've already seen, the contractor basically couldn't wait and already cleared everything. We have to get it done before March 1st because it's bath season. And so he's actually already did the work, and we told him, you weren't authorized yet, you weren't, and he didn't tell anyone and has already done it. I am requesting that, we did want them to do it, but he said, and we told him, like, you should have give us notification, not after the fact. But he didn't to John or myself. But in that case, though, we are required by ODOT to do this work. So I am asking for this to get approved.
Mr. Hannon.
Thank you. I wanted to bring up a couple things on this. I'm sure Justin and I are probably on the same page, but I just am a little confused on. So this was approved by the Board of Control on October 8th, 2025. And I know I'm not directing this at you. You're just our engineer right now. So I know there was someone else here at the time, but the quote is dated for 9/22/2025. For $29,920. And it was approved at the Board of Control meeting. It says it was for $16,200. And, it has like a quick note, and it basically says that they received multiple quotes, and it was significantly less than anticipated. So now, all of a sudden, a couple months later, it's double, and yeah, I mean, like looking at the quote, one line is almost what was approved at the Board of Control. So I'm just a little confused on that, like why the original quote wasn't just brought to City Council and approved.
So I do have an answer for you on that, and I actually spoke to John about this, and then so when the quotes were asked, so there's a difference between construction disturbance limits and right-of-way. So they based the quote on construction disturbance limits, which is a lot smaller area. ODOT said, no, it has to be right away. So that was sort of actually what I got from John Wood, because I was like, John, why were all these, and I saw that too. Why are all these trees? These are pretty. And he's like, oh, ODOT required that to be the right of way. So they said it has to be all the way to the right of way. So we had to do all these additional trees to satisfy ODOT.
So is that, I haven't added it up, but I'm assuming from this original quote, you probably took the first line that was required, not the additional trees, and then added the mobilization and maintenance of traffic, and that's, I don't know if that reaches 66.
Yeah, I think that's the 16,200 was minus additional tree removals.
It makes sense.
But yeah, and I don't know what the confusion was, if we were told, which I don't know what the confusion was, but I do know you do have to, remove everything within the actual right of way, not just the construction limits of the project for ODOT, so.
Yeah, there's some pretty big trees down there that came down, so I'm assuming that's why it's such more expensive, but that's all I had. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Ring.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. My question's for the Border Control. How do we approve a partial quote in Border Control? Like, we got a quote that said $29,920. So, one, that wouldn't be within Border Control's purview, right? It's over the maximum. So that shouldn't have gone there to begin with. It should have come to us. But second of all, why would this go to Border Control and then have Border Control just approve it under the what they're allowed to approve for, just to make sure it's approved? Is that why we did that? I just don't understand why we approved a portion of a quote when we had the full quote sitting in front of us.
It went to Border Control because we entered into a contract on the first one, on the quote that we originally asked.
Yeah, $29,920.
We went to,
Border Control can't approve that. The quote's on 922.
that was approved by you guys first.
Huh?
29,000 was approved by you guys first,
Well, then why would it even go to Border Control?
because we have to approve the contract. When we have an ordinance, it says
The mayor can enter into a
into a
contract.
contract, okay?
It's you, not the Border Control.
But all contracts have to be approved by Border Control.
Okay.
Okay?
So how did it get approved for less than the $29,000 we approved it for?
You get approved.
So the original quote is $29,920. That's the first quote. That's the one
Was
that.
it, or was it 16.2?
No, 9/22/2005 is when this Van Kuren Services quote came in. It was approved by Border Control on 10/8. So
10.8 for what? 16?
16. This is where I don't.
See, I don't know how it went from 16 to 29, and then they approved it at 29.
No.
Oh,
We approved it at 29,
16 too.
and then it went to Border Control, and they only approved 16.2, which I don't understand because the original quote's for 29,920. So I just want to know where the breakdown is, and yeah, Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you. So, just background story. We scan all of our border controls after a border control happens, and we load them into our software. And what I suspected is what happened. So this vendor, apparently they do work before they get POs, which should just set the stage for this vendor. The quote that I loaded into the system right after the 10.8 border control shows the quote at 16,200, which is under our 20,000 for council limit. So what they did, which is lazy on an accounting side, is they just went in and added some more lines to the quote that's dated 9/22 instead of creating a brand new quote showing the 29. So it's a how would you describe that?
So it's a fraudulent document.
It's a lazy
Fraudulent
document.
Altered.
They altered the
document.
document after it had already come to.
Correct. So Border
fraud.
Control did do the correct thing, but this company just didn't create a new.
Nope, we never use this company again.
Did it actually come to us?
I'm looking it up right now.
Probably didn't if it was.
Or did it come to us
If it
different?
didn't come to you guys, it wouldn't have had to because it was only $16,000.
Right.
So
Well,
would not have had to
That's
come.
why I don't know
Quote.
if it had actually even
What if I
come
give
to
a quote,
us.
Matt, that says 16.2, looks just like this quote here with the same estimate number, same date on it.
Correct, and it's estimate 24370, and then on the service, yep, they use the same estimate number as well. So I can print this off if council would like to see it.
What was the number?
He says it's the same as this, only they just changed the numbers, they added to it.
They just altered their original quote and just never did a new one dated for January, February of this year.
What did we previously approve numbers wise?
16,200.
We only saw 16,200, and somebody altered it to make it look like we approved the 29 previously, and we didn't.
I think they added to it.
They just added to it.
Did alter
Added to
it.
the
So
16.
they added to it.
We've
because
never
the state
approved
required it. Is that right, Mr. Gorog? Yes, or?
Yes, and I want to add, like, when I know, that date's wrong. They never put, so when speaking with John, and you know, when, John, I think actually ODOT contacted, I don't know if they contacted John, but that's when him and I were talking and saying, oh, we have to clear all the way to the right of way. So we asked them for an updated estimate, so then we could have gone through the process like we should have before they did anything. They literally gave us this, you know, updated quote, and like I said, with the work, like,
When did you ask for that updated quote then?
I believe it was either end of December, early January.
So instead, they just adjust the original.
They just said that they had to get this, you know, without contacting us, saying to get the work done, they had to do it now, and that was their explanation, which is not.
So we entered into a contract with them for $16,200. They made the decision to do extra work without being approved. I'm going to vote no on this and not pay them. They did the work without authorization. It's not our
I
problem.
don't think that I'm just thinking out loud here. I don't know.
We have a contract for 16.2.
I understand. I don't think that we can pay them the additional amount.
Right.
It was not approved. It was not followed by law. I think we're on the hook for the amount we approved, which was the 16.7. And they literally could have made up any number. And it wasn't approved by the legislative body. It's not a lawful contract.
Right. No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, what if they came back and said it's $100 grand?
I don't.
Stuck?
I don't know that we can. You can pay them. We didn't approve the contract ahead of time.
Yeah, so it was basically because there was a modification to the scope per ODOT.
It wasn't bid. It should have been rebid then. We didn't get any other additional bids, and
Mr.
that's the
Grandinetti,
part that's
you
not
have a-
lawful. We're
So
required
I'll
by
be
law
honest,
to
if
get the
we-
bids. The project size was probably doubled. I'm not saying they cheated us or ripped us off. What I'm saying is, when the project doubled because somebody screwed up between, what were the two different terms you used? Right away and something else?
Construction disturbance limits.
Versus right away. That
Yes.
should have been bid out as a right away. We didn't get any bids the first time around. They were the only company, and it was significantly lower than expected according to the notes. But I think legally, once that job doubled, as a body, we have to bid it out. We can't just say, make up your own number, do it, and we'll ratify it in the end. I'm willing to approve the 16, whatever we paid them, but everything else they did on their own. And I don't think I can legally vote yes on that because it wasn't done lawfully. It wasn't bid. It wasn't put out to other contractors. Maybe we'd have got a couple more if they thought it was a bigger job. I don't know.
I guess the way I see it is like construction projects when they have.
May I make a suggestion for council?
Yes, please.
Everyone, I think what's wise to do here is to table this for now. Let Mr. Gorog and Mr. Woods do some research on this project and bring this back at next council meeting and fully flesh this out. Maybe we reach out to the contractors involved in this and have some communication. Then we may be able to flesh this out in more better manner. That makes sense.
Did anyone authorize them to do from the city? Did somebody represent it? I mean, did they rely on the representations of somebody from the city that doubling the size of the job was okay?
So
Because they'll beat us. I mean, they'll beat us in a contract dispute if we did that, right? They're
So,
relying on us.
again, so, you know, for transparency, John was part of this and asked for, really just asked for a updated quote based on additional trees that were going to have to be removed. So all we did was actually ask them for a quote. Then they proceeded to, literally, which, we didn't even have the chance to even discuss, because they had contracts, they sent us, and like I said, literally, they cleared everything without us, even maybe talking to law, said, do we need to rebid this again, anything like that. We did want.
So they sent an updated quote. There's no chance that John Wood just sent an email off, said, go ahead.
No, he didn't.
Nobody in the city did that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, they should have known on their end that they had to wait. I don't know that we can pay somebody who unilaterally decides to do work and then come to us later. It's not an emergency situation.
I guess my only concern, bigger picture, which, I don't know, is that it would delay the ODOT project in any way if something happens.
Oh, they already did the work. They're not going to put the trees back.
No, I'm saying,
They're already cleared.
So not paying them, that law director can speak that, they try to, I don't know if you can put a lien, but do something to, I just don't want them to prohibit the ODOT project from moving forward.
They'd have to sue us, and I don't think that would do anything to delay ODOT. That's two separate scenarios.
I think what's stressed, Mr. Gorog and council, is that we table it, we come back next week, we make sure that we have all the information before us before we decide to act. I think that's the wisest, most prudent way to go forward on this situation.
I agree. I'll make a motion to table this to the next meeting.
First and a second to table this to the next service committee meeting.
Are we doing the next meeting
The
or
next meeting or next
The
service
next
committee?
finance meeting.
It's finance meeting?
It's about dollars.
Okay, next finance meeting.
Can we have dates when you bring something back to us? Like, I want dates when the quote was received, when it was bid,
I can get those.
when the trees were removed.
If you could, to see if there's anything that they could argue they relied to their detriment on us. I don't want to fight this fight. If somebody was like, this new quote, we'll get it covered.
I'll talk with John. We'll get, we have all the, basically it was correspondence by email, so we have that.
I don't want to screw them over. If someone from the city told them, go ahead, we'll get you covered, we'll get it paid, we shouldn't be messing with that.
We will look at everything first before, and I'll give you all that information, so.
I do. Okay, so we're tabling this. I have a first and a second to table this to the next finance committee meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been tabled to the next finance committee meeting. Item C, T7942, contract with PMG for road assessment and improvement plan. Mr. Gorog.
So this is something that, I think between the engineering department and service department, it was sort of time to have the roads rated. This PMG is, I believe, did Streetsboro use them? I believe the last time. Yeah. So, and I actually did reach out to a couple other contractors to see if they were interested, and they weren't interested in giving, I just want to say, any other ones want to give us a bid on that, and I got no's on that. I did check the pricing with, how many lane miles, I believe, is it 90 lane center line miles, is it 90? Yeah. Yeah, but the price is definitely more than favorable, plus, and again, this, they've already had a good record with the city in doing this.
Do you know when we had this done before? Do you have any idea? Do you know?
I think it was either 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, it was after COVID for sure.
It was during I know it was during the last term I was in. I just got reelected, so I know Justin did one. I just don't know how.
Yeah, that's where we had the video of everything. They rated all the roads.
They rated them. That was
Right.
Is it the same company?
Yes.
So what?
Are they going back and doing the same roads?
So when you do this, especially with, yes, you go back because roads can change. It doesn't
Oh, yeah.
just sometimes one road could stay the same, another one get a lot worse. So,
Often is it recommended that we do this?
I'll say my professional opinion, it's every 4 to 5 years in northeast Ohio.
Do we actually know when our last one was? In my mind, I want to say it was 2 years ago.
No,
I think it was
like
2022.
22, you say?
Yeah, 2022.
3 years, 4 years.
It seemed like we paid more back then. I thought we paid like.
Are you sure this is, because you're saying 90 centerline miles, and there's a lot more than that.
Or, I mean, that was just talking to the service director, like main miles. That was just, me stating.
But this quote is for all of the.
Yeah, this is for all. I'm just saying you do quotes based on, how many lane miles or center line miles that, so that hasn't changed too much since 2022. But again, I will say this was a process that was sort of started already that, I was picking up the back end of. And, really with the help of John was sort of carrying it along until we were actually named engineer. So just so we could, keep it still moving and not
Go to.
stalling.
Yep.
So why is this a 2-year contract? Is that how long it takes to do the roads?
So from what I understand, like, I don't know if they'll be, based on all the roads like that, they can get it all done in 1 year. And plus with all the, again, with the technology, which is, good now versus doing it by hand, which that's what I did 20 years ago, is do it by hand. But having the technology, the videos and everything, then coming up with, a really good PCI ratings plus with the videos and everything too.
Well, if we're contracted for a 5-year capital improvement plan with them too on pavement, will that cut into their prior? I thought they did a 5-year one in 2022, which should take us to further than that.
So
It seems weird to pay for a 5-year plan every 3 years. I don't know.
So the 5-year plan, which is technically, I guess it was 4 years, 5-year plans can change. But, and part of it is this is, basically, here's your worst roads. But also from the engineering standpoint, and something I would talk with their service director, is accounting for the roads is just one part of it. What utilities do we have issues with, if it's water main breaks or, maybe there's sanitary issues. So, the road ratings is part of it, but then, you look at, does a road have good base, that's the kind of thing that I'm hired to do, and working with the service department and water department to look at the whole scope of the road. They're just doing one, which is the road itself, which is good. But we also then will, analyze the rest of it. Like, there might be a road that's really close, but it's got worse utilities that need, repaired. And it's why put a Band-Aid when you're still having issues with your utilities underneath?
Can you look at what we paid in 2022?
Yeah.
I just don't remember. It seemed like it was a lot more than this.
Actually, I think it was less if I
don't know. I'm thinking maybe some of the data they retrieved back then. And I asked when we did that contract if the data was our intellectual property or theirs. And I believe they told me it was their intellectual.
It's theirs, and that's what all companies
Right,
are.
and now they're billing us for it again. So why can't we negotiate where it's our intellectual property, and if they're going to come use it?
No company of this, it's all their property. Like,
Yeah, but that's not everybody else does it too, Mom. It's not a good answer, right? Like it just looks like we're throwing bad money after stupidness. Like, we just paid these guys for a 5-year plan. They're coming to us 3.5 years later, 4 years later, and
well,
saying,
the 5-year plan.
I would like to sell you something I've already sold you. And they're probably going to sit on the data and say not much has changed. It's going to take them a lot less time. I'm not comfortable in any time. I mean, these are our cities. We're paying them to gather the data. And that was the problem I had with that last contract. I asked them, I said, are we going to get to keep this data other than the recommendations in the report? No. The rest of it, no. Now they're selling it back to us.
Mr. Bill Miller.
Well, I could tell you just from the road standpoint of it, the past 3 years and what's happened from the freeze and thaws has changed dramatically on this.
Yeah.
So even if you look back the first year when they did it, I'll use Diagonal. Diagonal was all right. Go down Diagonal today.
Yeah.
It needs updated for some reason, so we can get these.
But I mean, see, you
proper
figured that all
roads
out
up.
just from driving on Diagonal, right, Billy? And I didn't have to pay you 27,000. You get my point?
You got the sub.
We had a pretty good plan. I thought their plan was great. They did a good job. The presentation was good. Why can't we pick up the ball from there and save the residents some money and just drive down Diagonal and say, hey, 4 years ago we did this. It looks pretty bad. Let's upgrade it. And tell them, look, if we're going to pay you money, we're not going to buy back our own stuff we bought from you before. And maybe cut 27 grand's a lot of money. And we're throwing out 27 here, 45 there, 27 here. It's just nonstop pouring out the window. I don't know. It just seems expensive, and I'm not faulting you at all, but sometimes I feel like a rubber stamp up here. And I'm like, isn't anybody trying to save us money? Like, I don't know how we explain to residents we're going to pay for it. Like Billy drove down Diagonal. Tell them we don't need Diagonal in the study. Like, that save us $20. Like,
I'm not understanding why we would need it. If it's a 5-year plan, why would we be doing it right now? Seems to me this would be coming to us in 2027 if we're on the 5-year plan.
seems like a lot of
Is
money.
what you're saying, Steve.
A lot of money, and they don't lay down a single piece of asphalt.
Okay,
Do anything.
Hannah, did you have a
Yeah, I
question?
just wanted to answer the question that's been asked. I found thanks to Matt and our fancy iPad with all the ordinance uploaded on here, I was able to search it. We came to council February 4th, 2022, paid $24,000 to PMG. So, a little bit less.
So it's almost 4 years then on the.
We also had, according to this, 5 less miles. That we had 72, and the current one says 77. So I mean, I don't know if that changes. I think we've dedicated some streets and stuff since then. So.
Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Ms. Glenn. I agree it's a lot of money, but if we're spending $1 to 1.3 or $1.5 million a year on roads, everyone on, up here's determination or interpretation of a road that may need done first can all be different. I think that's the whole point of this study, is to rate them and figure out what is a priority. And if I think one road's a priority and you think another road's a priority, then we're not going to get anywhere. So we have a third party come in and say, no, this is what we have to say. So, I mean, it's a lot of money, but if we're spending over $1 million a year on roads, I think this is a good option to continue with. That's all I have.
Don't we have the priorities from last time, though? And we've gone down that list and said, all right, we're fixing the worst ones, right?
Yeah.
So they've jumped. So why wouldn't we just continue that list, knowing that they were, we fixed the 5s, we fixed the 4s. Halfway through the 3s, let's get through the 3s again. Those 5s and 4s now become 1s. The rest of those 3s now become 5s. The 2s become 4. You know what I mean? So I don't understand. If we already have a list that we've been working, why don't we just continue to work that list?
So I'm not saying that we couldn't use the list as a base, but just like Bill just said, especially even, going back even to, last year and that winter, I mean, the roads have changed in just 3 years. They really have. I mean,
You're saying something like 2 years ago that we fixed and it became a 1. It's pristine condition. Can now be a 5 again. Could be the worst.
I'm not saying worse, but then might be ones that were rated better that now jump ahead of one that we would have done, and we really should wait and be fair to that one that shouldn't be done, that year, so we're properly doing that. Again, this is, we're just, if because the other option is, Bill and I driving every single road, and again, then, there's.
So move. Just kidding. You could, right? Though that's what I'm saying. You could save us 27 grand, and like 43's out of the picture. We just had 43 done. 14's getting done. He knows Diagonal's bad. There's some way to. We're paying $3,000 more than we did 4 years ago. Like, we should be able to, and we don't own the property. At least get that from them. Say, hey, we're going to own this when you're done. I just don't understand how we're going to pay this every 4 years. It's going to be built in. They're going to come to us with something they already have in a program. It's got to be cheaper for them to do it the second time around. It has to be. That's just plain business.
They don't even put all the roads in.
No, they don't have to put in all that work. They just have to drive over and take some videos. And that's what I'm saying. They should be able to come back to us with a better contract.
So all these companies, I can tell you this we've had this done in even previous cities where I was engineer at. they, to do it right, and even per ODOT, you do everything again. Even though if you think it was done, there's more cracks that happen. There's more deflections in the pavement. Asphalt is a flexible pavement. I call it a living organism because, if we have a ton of more maybe freeze and thaw cycles, and Bill knows this, if we're just completely frozen like we have been, then, the roads aren't going to change. But, like it's getting warmer now, we're going to spend some freeze and thaw cycles, which is just going to tear up all the roads, especially asphalt. So that's why maybe a road that looked good, it's going to, not be as good maybe because it has, there's so many different factors involved. But like I said, we can, we can discuss, like I said, we can, motion, table it for now, and we further discussions about this.
Are there other companies? Did we bid it, or just a non-bid?
So this was, the bidding was done before.
Did we get any other quotes or no?
So when I only saw one, I personally called, when I only saw the one that John sent to me, I called other companies. They were just, honestly, I think a lot of it was they already lined up for the year, so they couldn't take on. You try to actually really get this out before the year you want it done.
What if we tried to do it next year and you tried to go back to those same companies, maybe possibly get it?
That can be, that can be an option, but, we can have further discussion. I have no problem. We can table this and see if there's.
Is it lined up to be to be seamless with the old one running out? Like, I'm for that. Like, we paid for the 5-year plan. We should have had the 5-year plan in place. I don't want to throw that off and turn it into a 6-year delay. Or are they going to, like, if they come in and give us a 5-year plan, is the first year of that plan going to be year 1, which is our old year 5, and then we end up with a 4-year plan? You see what I'm saying?
5-10-year plans are, you want to get a base of what we're going to do. But honestly, every year, and part of like service engineer, what we do is to make sure, even after year 1, has anything changed at all, that, maybe we had a lot more water main breaks on this one road, and another road we didn't, but they're both about the same. Well, you know what, maybe we prioritize the one with the water main breaks and fixing that up if we have the money to do the infrastructure, or we know the other one didn't have any utility breaks, so okay, if we're just going to resurface that, that's fine, we'll do that. So again, we, even though there's a 5-year plan, that's part what they provide that no matter what. Like if I tell them I don't want it, they're like, well, we're still going to give it to you. We're not going to take out the money for it. But again, this is just the asphalt ratings that they do, and then the service department, engineering department, we take that into consideration and actually doing a 5-year, full 5-year capital improvement plan.
Did you guys, you weren't here, but Bill, did you guys use the last one we did extensively? I don't mean follow it word for word, but did you sit down in his office and say, hey, this is the ratings, and Justin, and say, this is what we're going to spend the money on? Justin and the mayor, then, I guess?
Well, Justin was the one watching the ratings, and then
Yeah, who was picking the roads, I guess?
steering the road.
I mean, I'm happy my road, Julie's road got done during that timeframe, but I was super happy. I just remember, I'm getting my road done. It was like a 3 or 4, I don't remember. I'm just wondering, like, do you find it useful at the user? And I'm not fair to him, he wasn't here, but.
Right. I would agree with him to table it and let us have a meeting on it and go over it.
Okay.
Bring it back.
I mean, what's really going to change, though? I don't think the company's going to change their quote. They're not going to come back and be like, all right, we'll do it for 12 because we already have some of your data. That's not going to happen.
I just heard that maybe Billy's like, Justin kind of kept track of all that, and I just did what I was told. I'd like to know if we're really in the end just decide what roads to do based on our own knowledge, because we live here.
So I will
Why are we
say this.
dropping 30 G's on it? We're not having to use it to defend lawsuits or anything. I get that, but.
So if, say we decide to move forward, it's really for 2027, not 2026.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so it's for 2027. I've actually already, which again, this, we applied for some roads for OPWC that we're going to find the results if we get that funding, and plus, we have a list of roads that I was given that we were gonna be doing for 26. I think part of that was from, you know, Justin, John Wood, the mayor, so forth, maybe, you know, Bill. But it's more for 27, that would be. But again, you know, we can talk about this, table it, and, you know, and just Bill and I can talk, and we can talk to council and, you know, have a little bit further discussion on this. I can find out too, you know, how long this is good for, just to make, you know, if we decide to move forward, or if they say, if, you know, if it's not done by this date, but, you know, we may just say, okay, no then.
Your proposal and pricing quoted is valid for 60 days.
Is that what it says?
Yep.
Yeah, counter offer and tell them take 10% off and maybe we'll vote.
They did take 10%.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, take another 10, maybe we'll vote on it.
So I have a question about what you said about 2027. It says, this agreement will remain in effect for a 2-year term, beginning on the date of your signed contract. So if the 2 years starts on the day we sign the contract, I guess I'm questioning how that would be 2027.
I think he meant,
Yeah, I think he meant the road
Well,
plan.
that's for 2027, but so we have a full year of basically,
Well, we're still using the old plan.
okay.
And then they're doing a new analysis in 2026, and then they'll say, all right, starting in 2027 for 5 years, here's the new plan.
that's what I meant by
yeah.
seamless. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
that's what they're getting at.
Okay, gotcha.
Did I say that right?
I don't want to interrupt that, but I also don't want to get beat over the head by, I gotta believe a lot of the data, and that's why they kept it as their own intellectual property. A lot of the work's already done, and they're probably their margins are now. They're making their money now if they can keep us as a customer. If they can keep us as a customer, why don't we get some of that savings back? It doesn't all have to go in their profit.
So I'm confused. I'm gonna throw it out there. So we get this Road Insight trademark thing, and it says that we have dedicated shared Google Drive, a secure organized repository containing all project files, reports, and videos. So did we ever use that when we hired this company? Like, did we ever go in here and try and grab the info?
It's on their dashboard. We have access to it as we need it.
So we should have the roads that were done the last survey, right?
Yeah, we're still in that 5-year plan.
Right, we have access, but it's not ours.
But we have to provide them a yearly update on what roads we've maintained or what roads we've improved, right? In an Excel file, I read that. So then they update their software to what data we've given them. So it should all be up to date as long as we're doing that.
Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Ms. Glenn. Mr. Lampa, there were a few times that I went into Justin's office to talk about roads and their conditions, and he would actually pull up on his TV screen. He would go to the road and show the condition, and we would talk about one road versus another road and why one was on one list and one wasn't on the other.
So we have access to that while we're in the contract in the 5 years, but then if we would not renew, then we lose all of that. Is that correct? What we're talking about?
That I'm not 100% sure if we would lose the old, I mean, it's old information, so, you know, we might have access to it.
Can we take off the project planning? What do they plan for us?
It's in, did you see it in there? I'm reading that right now, section.
Well, because it's $5,800. I mean, it brings it down to 22,000. What is the project planning involved from their end?
I can read it from the thing if you want. It says upon contract execution, PMG will schedule a project kickoff call to align expectations, confirm scheduling, and review the scope, timeline, deliverables, and any municipal or seasonal factors that may influence the field work. Make sure that all stakeholders are informed and fully prepared for the project launch, typically completed within 90 days. During this kickoff, your project manager will provide a detailed project timeline outlining milestones, deliverable dates, and dependencies. Their advanced project management system supports transparent coordination by offering real-time visibility into progress, schedule updates, and key milestones. Which it seems like we kind of already have that. So I kind of agree with you, Mike, that I don't know if we need that because in the contract renewal portion, it says that it should be a seamless transition if we renew this contract.
That's the part I'm saying. There's stuff built in there we already paid for. And we're just repaying them again, and they're not having to do the work.
license for that program.
Right.
It does say there's 2 of those licenses, though. I was just wondering why is that?
2-year, like, it's,
Is it one, oh, that's
Yeah.
a year, okay. Oh, I see, miles and years, gotcha, okay.
Well, and to me, I'm just reading this. The first part, $250 for each mile for each year. The pavement management, haven't they? If this service is continuously updating, if we're continuously putting new information in whatever repair we do, and we're continuing our service, why are they coming in and doing it again? I don't know if I'm misunderstanding that.
Like on roads we took care of.
Right. Like if someone's updating the, I don't know, I understand the annual license and the support and having access to all that stuff, but it almost kind of reads like that they're redoing everything for us again when we're already.
they are, though. That's what they're saying. Right. They are. They're going to drive around all 77 road miles and video.
Which we all know
Re-rate the
43
roads.
is beautiful, and why would they even need to?
And that can be part of the discussion, honestly, with them if, if they're, especially state, some of the roads, see if that affects the price or not. I really don't know. With that, so that, or especially like the ones we already know that we're going to do this year, there's no need for them to do that because those are going to be, highly rated roads. So we can, ask them, and honestly, you have my email, if there's questions you want me to ask them. But we can do that, and that's part of it. I think we should table this, absolutely. So we can ask some more questions and answer your questions that you have.
You want to table it for 2 weeks then, because it is a 60-day time frame on this.
That's fine.
I'll make a motion to table this to next finance meeting.
Second.
First and a second to table this to the next finance committee meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been tabled. Item D, T7947, contract with Capital Rivers Connect for retail analysis. Mr. Amalia.
Good evening. At last meeting, Councilman Mishniak brought up the idea of us protecting some of our nest eggs and making sure that we have income streams coming in. As you guys are all aware, there is the possibility that property tax is put up to a popular vote. Should that happen, I'm not a political scientist, but I'm pretty sure it's going to pass. Ohio has a 3-legged stool. We do sales tax, income tax, and property tax. Property tax goes away, you're left with sales and income. That means that for that to happen, we have to make sure that our sales tax base is firing on all cylinders. When Streetsboro developed its commercial sector, it was developed largely to grab the cash out of wallets of people that were driving through us to get to see the world in Six Flags. That is no longer there. But we've got a lot of big box stores. My field doesn't do big box. I can help entrepreneurs, but we don't have it downtown or something where we can let people go and experiment. We're good at redevelopment, like when we knocked down the old True North and put up Buckeye quality meats. We're not great at retail, and if you look at the Ohio Race Code and the kinds of incentives that they allow us to have, there's not much out there. But I am concerned that as soon as this November, we're going to be looking at, I'm going to go with the $2.2 million hit to our general fund. Very good at my job, but I'm not good enough to cover that for you. I don't know anybody who is. So I think that we try and get ahead of this. We try and create that relationship now with people, because if that worst case were to happen, every community is going to be banging down consultants like this doors and trying to get ahead of this. Worst case scenario, we learn something. We learn something where we can improve upon.
Mr. Ring.
Thank you, Ms. Glenn. Didn't we just get one of these done?
Nope.
The retail study? We had a retail study done recently.
We had as a guy, when we tried to do, when we got rid of car washes and hotels, is by right. we had somebody do a market analysis, and I've been able to use that in the past to say, here's what your profit potential is. Don't believe me, believe this third-party guy. The difference here is that these are people that are actually going to go out to trade shows and talk to people on our behalf. Where a lot of these big box deals get done, or frankly a lot of deals get done, is at the International Council of Shopping Centers, whatever event in Las Vegas. You don't want to send me to Las Vegas. I might not come back. But that's where a lot of these deals get done. But most importantly, you need somebody who's got the ability to talk to the decision makers. That they have a whole bureaucracy. I could have started 6 years and 1 month ago when I started here calling Olive Garden and saying, hey, Garden, we really want you here. I'd be in the exact same place that I started 6 years and 1 month ago because the bureaucracy there has a lot of gatekeepers and they don't want to talk to me. Again, if you looked at last week's newspaper, Governor DeWine was saying, hey, sales taxes could approach 20%. That seems high to me, but even if it's 15%, it's pretty much the only thing we're going to have left outside of income taxes to support our services and provide what we do to our residents. So I'm just trying to get ahead of things and try and make sure that if the worst comes to pass, we're prepared. If the worst doesn't come to pass, maybe we get a couple of nice new businesses and the residents are happy.
Mr. Michniak, did you have a question?
Yeah, I know you and I talked this afternoon a little bit about it, but if we were to go to a 15 or 20% sales tax, will part of what these folks are going to look at between the two of them, and you give us a prediction of approximate, I don't want to call it income, but revenue shifting from property to that? I mean, what's the county share? What's the city share?
I think that everything is, I think that once you knock off one of the three legs of the stool, that thing's pretty wobbly, and I think that there's going to be a lot of things out there that are like the wild, wild west. I don't think that the current structure of the county collecting it and then dividing it up and sending it back to us, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that it's going to very much be your community generated this sales tax, therefore you're keeping more of it as opposed to the current system. I do not have a crystal ball to tell you where that's going to go, but I know that if you're making big changes, that there are going to be big cities and people making big money and having big lobbyists going out there and saying, I made it. Not Palmyra, not Deerfield, me. Give it to me. So I don't know where this is going, but I do feel that if that proposal were to make it on there, that it's going to pass. And I feel like we still are going to get hit with the big budget thing, and we still have to provide those services somehow. So I don't know, Mr. Michniak, I don't know if the status quo is going to stay the same, and I don't know if all I know that change is afoot, and I'd like to be on the right side of that.
Mr. Hannan.
Thank you, Mr. Amalia. I read through your report and appreciate all the time and effort you put into stuff like this. It's very interesting to read. With this report, what is, in the simplest of terms, what is the end result that you're hoping for with this?
One of the things that there's really only 3 groups out there that do this. What I had originally thought Mr. Ring was alluding to was way back in COVID times. The guy at Kent, who was my colleague in the economic development field, he and I went up to the commissioners because they had a lot of stimulus money left, and we said, hey, you guys make a lot of money on retail. Why don't you hire this group, Retail Strategies, because you guys make the lion's share of retail sales tax dollars. I had my experience with that group, and while it wasn't my group, and they didn't answer to me, they answered to the county. Every time we tried to get in front of them and say, hey, help me, they didn't do anything. What I like of this guy is that he's small, he's boutique, He's got experience doing things in the Midwest and out on the West Coast. And he promises to give us a learning experience. The other thing that you'll note is that, like I said, there's 3 big firms that do this. This guy, I wouldn't know if I'd call him big, Buxton and Retail Strategies and the retail coach. But with him, you also get it's Buxton Scout Program, which is like, so I'm basically split in the middle. I'm getting a little bit of Buxton, but I'm getting him. And my big thing here is that he's also got experience as a developer. So he's able to give me some experience, not only as a guy who goes to Las Vegas and talks to your Dardens or your Lowe's or your Home Depots or whatever. But he's also gone out and put up his own stuff. So it's useful for us to have all perspectives.
I was just curious because, and that's one thing I really like about you is that you're always prepared, and you obviously want, to have this information, so then that way when someone comes to us that wants to bring their business here, we kind of have our ducks in a row, which I like about this. But what happens when it's things that we can't control, like, for example, Market Square Plaza? Over the years, we've talked many times about deals, and even if we bring this great deal to a place that has an empty storefront, we still have to get those people to agree. So, like, we could have this great deal that everyone's like, yes, this is a no-brainer, and then all of a sudden these people won't negotiate on a lower lease because they have to put all this money into the building. So, like, what do we do in that situation? There's only so many. Or, for example, I know you mentioned in your report, like, I believe the east side of 14. I'm not good with directions like Mike, but like, for example, there is a lot of land there, but some of it is like a zoning problem. There's a vacant lot on the east side of 14. It's I believe it's zoned residential. So, like, a business may come into town and be like, hey, we want to build there. It's a perfect lot for us, but it's a zoning problem. So then it comes back to us, and we have to put it, someone has to put it on the ballot to get the zoning change. So, like, there's other problems that, like, we can't necessarily fix, I guess. There's other steps that have to be done. Or some of the stuff, like Market Square Plaza, for example, just using them, if they can't negotiate a better lease, then it's still out of our hands.
My wife is a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I am her longest running experiment. And she will tell you that there are no pills to fix these things. You have to want to fix them. Right. We can provide people the pills, but if they don't, the pills in this particular case being the deal, but if people aren't going to take them, we cannot force it down their throat. Right. So you are correct. There are areas where we cannot control. Like I said, a big part of my reason for this is I get a good perspective from somebody who's on different sides of the coin. Right. I get to learn a little bit about a part of the field that, frankly, my field's never been designed for. What we do are, and I'm not saying that retail jobs aren't good, but we're in the margins game in terms of income tax collections, and retail jobs typically pay less than manufacturing jobs and less than office jobs. So my field has never really been professionally trained on retail. Mm-hmm. So if this is going to become the new norm, and retail is going to become an important part of our economic base, I would like the opportunity to learn about it.
Right. Well, another thing with this too is, kind of reading through some of the deliverables, for example, it kind of reminds me of my time being on the master plan review committee and how we did, like, this SMART analysis, or the SWOT, whatever it is, SWOT analysis maybe is what it's called. So I feel like we already have some of that information out there, and I would believe we're coming up on another master plan review committee where we have to kind of look at some of these things and what draws people, or what we believe draws people to Streetsboro. I don't want it to be like we're kind of double doubling our work almost.
Well, I would view it differently. John's not here, and I don't claim to know exactly what's going on in his department, but from what I understand, we are taking a look at the code and what we're considering allowable and by right uses. Is that correct, Mayor? We're looking at a lot of, yeah. So, you know, maybe we could look at this and say, well, these are the kinds of sales things that we want, because right now, I will tell you that, how would I phrase this without breaking confidentiality? A very top of the line automotive dealer that sells, you know, the kind of things that all little kids love, you know, Bugattis and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. And he's like, hey, you know, how about Streetsboro? I was like, if you'd like to buy the old Wingate Hotel and knock that down, have fun, but we can't. He's like, well, this land over here, you know, Hyundai's here, that's Zone B, so why can't I put it in there? I said, well, I can't explain the history of how Hyundai Great Lakes is there and why they're not, but right now all auto dealerships are under this pink zoning code, which I want to say is highway commercial interchange. John would know that better, but you know, like maybe we look at that and say, well, do we need all these different zoning districts, you know, because one of the things that I worry about, you know, if Ted's fridge goes on the fritz and he says, I need a new fridge, Ted might decide to go to Lowe's. The mayor might say, sorry, Mayor, I'm not picking on you, but he might say, well, I'm driving to Pittsburgh. I'm not paying that 20% sales tax, you know. Like, there is going to be the possibility of us having a higher sales tax and a lower inventory turn because people will act rationally with their own wallet and try to avoid taxes like all of us do. So maybe it'll be harder to do with car dealerships, or maybe it'll be harder to do with groceries, and you know, maybe we could implement some of the stuff that he says into John's work or into the next comprehensive plan.
So using your example of like a car dealership, so and I'm sorry, I should probably know this, but could car dealerships only be in that certain district, is what you're saying?
I wish John was here, but that is my understanding.
So like, you know, that's kind of one of the things I'm kind of hitting at is like some of the things that Streetsboro is dealing with is kind of like a zoning problem that we would have to eventually put on the ballot. I mean, I've been up here for I think 2 master plan review committees almost now, and I still haven't seen like any zoning changes go to the ballot. You know, things that are going to help us, you know, I guess, you know, allow or fix some of these problems that we've experienced. So I feel like that's not necessarily something that like these people can fix. I feel like it's something that we have to kind of look at ourselves.
It's always useful to have another perspective, right? And if this guy comes in and says, hey, this is the stuff that I think makes a lot of sense for your trade area, you know, because, you know, let's face it, there are probably a couple of people in Streetsboro that would be interested in a Ferrari, but I'm guessing they're mainly here for like Hudson. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'll wrap up real quick, but I just wanted to say, I think something that's is unique to Streetsboro too is that we've actually been very proactive. I know we talk about big box stores and stuff like that, but look around, like what other than, you know, Market Square Plaza, the old Giant Eagle is considered a big box store that's vacant. Maybe the other half of Staples and the Save-A-Lot that you mentioned was recently used for, you know, Spirit Halloween. I know it's seasonal, but for the most part, you know, some of the other bigger stores like the old Walmart was repurposed.
Mm-hmm.
Old Kmart was repurposed. You know, we've gone through town and have given developers and businesses the tools to redevelop different sites that you've mentioned throughout. So I feel like we're on the right track. I feel like we're doing, and I give you the credit because you're very proactive in doing that. So I feel like we have the things in place that are kind of redeveloping Streetsboro. I understand we don't have a downtown, we've done a downtown study and all that stuff, but really, we just need someone to come in here and take action and invest money into the city, I feel like.
I feel like if you guys hired me in when did Walmart move? Was that like mid-90s?
No.
I was a little kid, I don't remember.
Walmart moved?
2007.
2000, yeah, 2000.
I would have been fresh out of college. I'm not saying I would have been good, but if you had hired me, I would have said, don't let Walmart take all the frontage on 14, because nobody wants to be behind Walmart. You know, there's 77 acres back there now, and if we had designed that differently, where there was like a horseshoe, you had Walmart here, and then you had TJ Maxx here, and then like almost like what they have on the Kent-Stowe border. You know, there's maybe design things.
Pretty much every other city besides Streetsboro.
I'm not picking on you guys. I'm just saying there's other things that, you know, we've made mistakes. We're making improvements. We just might be running out of time to make them quick enough.
Mr. O'Malley, I like this. I think it's a great idea. Just one question, maybe I missed it. When would this report be done if we did sign up with this?
Oh, how I've structured this is for 3 reads. So I figured that you guys would want to talk to him. He lives all the way out in California. So I wanted to say, hey, why don't you guys set up a Zoom or something? I'm not going to make him fly out here. But we would do it for 3 reads. And then 30 days after that, after the mayor signed it, we would have the contract. It's a 9-month engagement that would bring us pretty much to the end of the year.
All right, thank you.
I noticed,
Yes.
Paul Yupa, 8749 Seasons Road. Same old podium, I like it. Years back, and it was many years ago, they did a regional retail study in northern Ohio, northeastern Ohio. And it came up with the fact of how much retail space there was at the time and how much of a glut of retail space there was. I'm not saying that's the case now, but I don't know what the population in the area is doing, as far as probably more in contraction and expansion. And a question I have is, even if you increase the amount of retail availability that you have someplace, is that necessarily going to correlate with an increase in retail sales? If people already have many options in the area, why are they going to go and spend more, especially if all the items, you expect them to be taxed with a greater sales tax? Are people going to increase the amount of retail that they purchase just because you add retail space in the city? That's something that maybe even the study could answer. I mean, I don't know. Another question is, you got to take a look at, is that the kind of community that people want to have here? With much more retail, more traffic through here, does it make the kind of desirable community that people want, especially if it's big box and regional sales as opposed to locally focused types of development? So perhaps that study could answer those questions. I don't know, but I don't know that adding retail space necessarily is going to drive an increase in retail sales. That's probably the big question. Thanks for your time.
I think any increase in the sales tax, especially if they increase the pay, I mean, that's just 12% inflation right there, right? So no, there would be a lot less retail sales when the sales taxes are that high.
we're not far from the PA line.
Yeah.
No.
People are going to have more money if the property taxes go away.
Not if they're paying 20% in sales tax.
I-
You're going to pay more in sales
Trust me,
tax.
I'll be better off.
You're going to pay more in sales tax per year than you're paying in property tax.
No, I will not.
Okay.
Well,
$10,000 a year in sales tax. I'm sorry, in property tax. I'm not going to be spending that kind of money.
You want to spend 50 grand in groceries and gas and
Absolutely
everything
not.
else here?
Maybe you do. I mean,
Oh.
maybe for you it's different, but for
It's
me.
different for everybody, so.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right. So
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
first and a second to move this item to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item E, T7943, Purchase 1, 2026 plow truck. Mr. Bill Miller.
Yeah, this is to purchase another plow truck. It's our yearly thing we do, this was budgeted for. Along with the next two ordinances, we did purchase one last year. So the other two of these ordinances are also gonna cover upfitting both of the trucks.
Any questions?
If there's no further discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this item to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item F, T7944, Purchase of Equipment from Henderson for 2 plow trucks. Mr. Bill Miller, which this is what you were talking
Yeah, this is all the plow equipment for the trucks.
So if there's no
So you
further
move this one too.
discussion, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this item to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item H, T7946, Annual Asphalt Preservation Purchases. Mr. Bill Miller.
Wait, did we actually make a motion on the
You gotta do G.
Oh, wait, yep, okay, I'm sorry. Item G, T7945, Purchase of Outfitting for 2 plow trucks. Mr. Bill Miller. Again, this was
Yeah, this is
kind of what you were talking about, so
all together for us.
So you have 3 ordinances
He's
there.
got
Ordinances into one to get the two
gonna make a motion, Mike.
I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
First and a second to move this item to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item H, T7946, Annual Asphalt Preservation Purchases. Mr. Bill Miller.
This is our asphalt preservation program. It's $150,000, and this is our yearly ordinance. Covers all the patching, crack sealing, some concrete work, whatever we need to do for the season.
Any questions?
No questions, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Aye, or second.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved. Item 7, citizens' comments. See any? Item 8, announcements. A regular council meeting will immediately follow this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
First and a second to adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
I was just wondering. I didn't see it up on the, like our picture.
All right. I'd like to call this regular council meeting of Monday, February 9, 2026 to order. Caroline, please call a roll.
Ms. Wagner. Mr. Lampa.
Here.
Ms. Glenn.
Here.
Mr. Ring.
Here.
Mr. Mishniak.
Here.
Mr. Hannon. Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Motion to excuse Jen Wagner.
A motion and a second to excuse Ms. Wagner. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, Ms. Wagner is excused. Item 3, disposition of minutes. Public hearing of January 26th, 2026 sediment stormwater.
Motion to accept as written.
Motion and a second to accept as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Item 4, citizens' comments. Okay, no comments. 5, reports, communications from departments, boards, and commissions. Chief Wayne from the Police Department. All right. Captain Bucks with the Fire Department, anything to add?
Chief gave me all kinds of things to talk to you guys about tonight. I want to thank you for having me out. I want to talk about how we're working in conjunction with the Aurora Fire Department, the way we dispatch calls right now. As the dispatch gets a call for an actual working structure fire, they send it out on our Active 911, which is an app we have, which goes to all the guys in our department. So that makes a faster response time, quicker response times to our community, sending ladder trucks either to them or them to us, which helps gives more manpower and provides a safer environment for residents and us on scene. This has been going on for the past couple months. It's been working pretty well. We had a call actually yesterday at their nursing home. They had like a little kitchen fire, I think with their dishwasher caught fire or something like that. Ended up not being much, but it's something again where we were already en route, saving minutes, which counts in actions like that when those things happen. So something we're excited about. It's working out well. Want to focus on a couple things we've been doing around the training sector of our department with doing a class on autism, how to deal and work with those people in our community, how to best help them in emergency situations. A lady came out, her son has autism, talked about ways to help them communicate and be able to decipher what's going on with them and figure out the best ways to treat them. She's also has some autism bags that has like sensory things for them, and even like little placards and stuff like that that can point if they're non-communicative, that we can see and help them in that way. Since it's been freezing cold out, we're deciding to do our ice rescue classes next week. We're going to cut some holes in some ice, jump in, and practice extricating people who hopefully don't, but I don't know if they do, unfortunately, get in the ice. I'll be able to get them out safely and effectively. We've been working with our tick training with our thermal imagers, seeing how those work, making sure we're fluent on that, using that to help identify any kind of hazards or victims in fires. It's a great tool that we have. We also have been using our new VR fire extinguisher system. Took it over to Boulder Crossing, our fire prevention bureau, using it to teach the nursing staff how to use properly the fire extinguishers and everything like that. And just again, our frontline thing to do fire safety, and also the staff at Popeyes. So fire safe at Popeyes too, so that's exciting. We have fire prevention has been working with the schools, I guess back in October 2024. There's a protective door assemblies code that came out. Captain Graham and Inspector Wilson been going and getting certified in that with the classes. They're able to do that for the schools, which saves up to $200 per door to get those certified, and so that's a big savings for the community. We're almost done. And like that, again, doing the cold weather, we're just so you know, we're trying to keep on top of those things. Hydrants obviously is freezing. The residents too, if you're able to clear out around the fire hydrants, stuff like that, so we can find them in the snow drifts. We're also taking our tanker truck, which holds 2,500 gallons of water, to any kind of fire emergency, so that we have water if we need it, if the hydrants are frozen, until we get some mutual aid companies coming in to help establish water for us. So that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the report.
No problem.
Mr. Coffin, anything from the IT division?
I don't know how I can follow that, but you guys have your iPads up there. We're still going to be working out Kinks over the next couple meetings as we get the flow of it. If you guys can bring in your laptops when you have a moment, if you haven't already turned them in, just get those back.
Are we leaving these here?
Yes.
Like here, right here?
Yeah, we're going to leave them there, and they'll be used by the other boards and commissions.
All right,
That's it for now.
Ms. Lockhart, Reese, anything from HR?
I don't have anything.
All right, thank you. Mr. Grandinetti, Law Department?
We'll report this evening.
All right. Ms. Edgar, Parks and Rec, what's going on over there?
I don't know if you guys have seen or not, but our lights are going up. So that's exciting. The bathroom is complete. They are currently working on the fire department. After that, they will come here to City Hall. Lastly, they will do the community center. Schedule shifted a little bit with the lift rental. So they wanted to get all that stuff knocked out, and then we'll have full control, and we'll be able to get some fun colors out there.
All right, thank you. Mr. O'Malley, do you have anything more to add from economic development?
Every 2 years, thank you all for sitting through that wonderful video. We get the CDBG allocation in response to a fire that happened in the Gaynell area, somewhere over there. We started putting money away for demolition. We are coming up where all that money has to be spent by August 31st of this year. I'm kind of just pulling the plug on demolition. I'm going to ask you guys to support a resolution where we pull that from demolition. And because we're doing all this park stuff out there, and because of the demonstratable low moderate income population in the immediate vicinity, I'd like to take that $13,000 and start a sidewalk up to Russell. We're not going to be able to complete that, but we can at least start to use some of that money to create a connection to the neighborhoods behind us. So if you guys have any questions or want to talk to me about that, please do so, because it'll be a decent amount of work that I'm going to have to do to get that moving, so I'd welcome your feedback.
So where exactly is the sidewalk going on Russell then? Is it starting at 43, that end? and
No,
back?
no, it would be all within our parcel. So right here, we own the parcel that, and then we've got another one that kind of butts up against Russell in between a house and one of the apartment buildings.
Okay, I know what you mean.
$13,000 isn't going to get us all the way there, but it could start us. And then when we start for the next allocation, instead of us putting money into demolition again, we'll just put it into sidewalks. We have to find something to do that directly benefits low, moderate income people. Otherwise, it's not an eligible expense, but this is a nice, long-lasting improvement.
And that sidewalk would go to that new park that we're going to put back here?
That's the idea, yeah. If anybody got any feedback on that? If you think about it, let me know. Thanks.
Good idea, thank you. Mr. Goring, anything extra from engineering?
The only thing I'll bring up, I did email, I believe everyone this time, my report. Main thing I just want to bring up, since is the basically the 3 ODOT projects that it's basically they bid out as one, were bid out last week, or was actually awarded last week to Carvo out of City of Stowe. The estimate was 5.8, and their contract with Carvo was at 5.2. So right now it's 10% below the estimate. We'll see how that goes, but right now they're still saying that construction will start March 1st. I've put in some emails because there has to be a pre-construction meeting before. I don't know if that March 1st, and that's what I'm trying to find out if that's, so right now I'm trying to get a hold of Carvo and ODOT about pre-con meetings, so we can be part of it. I know the mayor definitely, and could we have some MOT concerns, maintenance of traffic concerns with some of the projects, and even seeing how they're going to do it, if they're going to do maybe 2 at the same time, which they could on some of these, or just seeing what they're going to do on that. So that's one the one I wanted to bring up for my report. But if you have any other questions, though, you can feel free to email me for my report. I apologize, I just got it out today, but I was pretty busy last week and during the weekend, so that's all I have.
I actually had a question on your report that I wanted to make sure the council saw and ask the mayor. So since we weren't awarded that money for those 2 projects, what does that mean? It was on his report.
Are you talking about the AMATs?
Yeah.
Yes. So part of the reason, when I saw the scoring was, there's actually a scoring box. If you haven't been awarded a project in a while, you get points. Well, we got 0. Well, other ones got like 30 or 50 who haven't had a project in 5, 6, 7 years.
And can you just read out the projects that we were not awarded money for?
So Seasons Road resurfacing, from Ravenna Road to State Route 43, Aurora Hudson Road resurfacing from the West Corp to I-48 Bridge, and then Frost Road Phase 2 from Phillip Parkway to State Route 43, full reconstruction, and sidewalk State Route 303 from Mount Vernon Drive to Page Road.
So what is our plan B? So all those projects are on hold for right now? Is that what that means? Thank you.
And just real quick, just to let you know, there's only certain roads that are eligible for AMAS funding. So typically like residential neighborhoods, so they look at traffic counts, that's the main thing. So it has to be, high volume roads. So, like I said, those are, AMAS honestly, very simple application and has the best bang for your buck. 80-20, I mean, you can't, like I said, there's nothing else out there. So it's definitely, but, if we have to look into creative thing, if, doing it in stages, if we have to do a phase 1 or phase 2 for that, we can, certainly look at that if we're seeing that's, but, yeah, we'll be able to reapply in 2 years though, but something in the meantime, if we can always have to look at something if road or something's getting really bad.
Thank you.
Mr. Mannon.
Speaking of projects, when was did we ever get awarded the 303 widening, the suicide or whatever it's called, the turn lane? 303 to, no, 303 to.
Oh, Ranch?
No, 303 to Page Road. Did we ever, I thought we talked about widening that. Did we ever get a? No, that was sidewalks. I'm talking about the actual widening of the road. Okay, I didn't know if, right. We've had a lot of projects. I didn't know if we had gotten awarded that or not. I just forgot, so I was curious. That's all I had.
Seasons.
Mr. Bill Miller, Service.
Just with this thaw coming up, it's gonna be pothole season, so we'll have a couple crews out every day. Trying to keep up on them. So if you need any, just go ahead and shoot them an email, and I'll make sure we get on the list.
There's a thaw coming?
Yeah, finally.
All right, thank you. Mr. Miller from
Nothing
Finance, you've been kind of
for
quiet over there.
report tonight. Thank you.
Hey, it's off the L. You have to get excited. Who we missing? Miss anybody? Okay. Item 6, introduction of legislation containing statement of emergency.
I will make a motion to suspend the rules for T7943, T7944, T7945, T7946.
Second.
No.
That's first read.
Third read. Okay. We have a second? Roll call, please.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7943, purchase one 2026 plow truck. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Truck Specialists, Inc. for the purchase of a 2026 plow truck in an amount not to exceed $130,838 and declaring an emergency in order to place the vehicle into service as soon as possible.
Motion to adopt in second. Roll call, please.
Everybody on my page here. Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
And Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7943 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-23. T7944, purchase of equipment from Henderson for 2 plow trucks. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Henderson for the purchase and installation of equipment for 2 2026 plow trucks, amount not to exceed $256,826.32, and declaring an emergency in order to place the vehicles into service as soon as possible.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7944 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-24. T7945, purchase of uplifting for 2 plow trucks. Caroline, please read by title.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Warm Hydraulic Equipment for the purchase and installation of the upfitting for 2 2026 plow trucks in an amount not to exceed $45,000 and declaring an emergency in order to place the vehicles into service as soon as possible.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt in a second. Caroline, please call roll.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7945 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-25.
Steve, you want to put your mic on for me?
No.
Yes, please.
My vote was yes.
T7946, annual asphalt preservation purchases. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into contracts without competitive bidding with various vendors for the purchase of asphalt paving products and incidental paving services necessary for the city's 2026 asphalt preservation program in a total amount not to exceed $150,000 and declaring an emergency in order to begin the program as soon as possible.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Lampa?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes. T7946 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-26. Item 7, first reading, T7947, contract with Capital Rivers Connect for retail analysis.
This is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Capital Rivers Connect for professional economic development services in an amount not to exceed $46,500.
All right, thank you. Item 8, second reading, we have none. Item 9, third reading. T7932, repeal and replace chapter 1193, erosion and sediment. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 1193 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Streetsboro relating to erosion and sediment control.
Motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lampa.
Yes.
Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes. T7932 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-27. T7933, repeal and replace chapter 1195, comprehensive stormwater management. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 1195 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Streetsboro relating to comprehensive stormwater management.
Motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lampa.
Yes.
Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes. T7933 passes and becomes ordinance number 2026-28. Item number 10, the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. Did you talk about the turnpike? Okay. Page Road, when they go to repair the bridge that goes over the turnpike, will be completely closed. We had asked if they could push the project off until June after school was out. They said no. They said it would cost them $500,000, their words, not mine, to push the project off till June. So they are going to start March 1st. I notified the schools today. I talked to the superintendent, I talked to the director of operations, and they're going to have to find some way around it. It's kind of disconcerting considering the 14 and 43 project is scheduled to start March 1st also. And it is going to cause it. Thankfully, the turnpike is only for a few months. I can't stop either project, so it is going to happen. And I don't know how or what the schools are going to do. 14 and 43 project, that's an ODOT project. They have ODOT and the turnpike. They don't have a communication. They're not under the same. They're under the same thing. I don't know why it would cost that much more to move that project off until June. I did get I had asked for part of my ammunition to talk to the turnpike was the estimate of cost and time that it would take, and it was pretty substantial for the schools. And I don't know why. They say they can't say no till you ask. Well, we asked and they said no. And so we're in for some traffic, to say the least.
Turnpike project?
Pardon me?
How long is the turnpike project?
Turnpike project is 3 months or less, 90 days or less. And they haven't had their pre-con yet. We have been asked to be able to attend their pre-con, and we have asked to attend the pre-con for the 14 and 43 project. It appears as though from the plans that they're going to do like one quadrant at a time. And it's going to be a lot of night work, but there is going to be some day work too. and we have to get a better understanding of what their maintenance or traffic plans are. So if I were you, I'd find a way around. Some of us can't, but for a little while, it's going to be screwed up. But in the end, the project will run from March, and it's due to be completed in December. So it's going to be a 9-month project. It's not going to be total chaos for the whole 9 months. Okay, once the square is complete and they get to the resurfacing, it's just going to be lane closures and stuff like that. And the resurfacing is definitely scheduled for nights.
Is that asphalt or concrete?
Well, it's concrete at the square till about 200 feet of the approaches, and then it becomes asphalt.
So what are they replacing it with?
The square is being replaced with concrete. They're going to dig it all up, and then they're going to put new concrete in, and they will pave, like we said, from Portage Point Drive up to that juncture, and then from that juncture out to the turnpike, and then from the south juncture down to Twin Lakes, and the north juncture up to
Cecil, I think.
Market Square, and then the project over here at Ranch Road and 303, that's going to cause a little bit of issue too when they take the slip lane out. But we've been through it before. We've been going through it
For those
the past
Facebook posts.
8 years now. So once we get this one done, it's going to be really the capper.
Mayor, I'm assuming you're going to be posting these things?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're waiting for the pre-con. I mean, we have a lot of questions that we have to, and we've already put it out there that, this is going to be a mess. We haven't, there's no easy way to do it.
You can do it.
Well, you tried. Thank you. Item 11, President of Council's comments. The one thing I want to add or comment on is the service department. Heck of a job out there over the past few weeks. I know I had to contact Mr. Miller about a couple things, and he was out there checking it out. So I really appreciate that. It helps a lot when residents are worried and concerned, and the service department's on it. All the departments are on it, honestly, but this specific situation was Mr. Miller this time. So thank you for that. Item 12, council members' comments. Ms. Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. I did want to bring something up related to the sidewalks on 303, and I don't know if this is anything that could benefit us, but I was reading, the headline is, Painesville receives $310,000 grant for Elm Street sidewalks after 30 years, and it says, the city received funding through the Safe Routes to School program to build sidewalks, and it talks about where they built them, which is not really relevant, but I don't know if that's something we've ever pursued, Safe Routes to School program.
Every time, right?
Your mic, Mr. Mayor. Or your mic, thank you.
I know that people say that their kids would walk to school, but anybody that would let their kid walk to school down 303 has to have a screw loose. Okay? And Safe Routes to School looks at the potential that would encourage kids to walk, and they have never found that we had the potential. We're going to apply again, okay? I believe we've already talked about going after SRTS money, but I'm just afraid it's going to be the same thing again. It's there. We try. I mean, just like we applied for AMAS money, we knew going in this year that the projects that we wanted probably would not qualify. We've had a bunch of them, but SRTS isn't administered through AMAS. That's a different thing. So we just keep on trying.
Is that through the state, I would think?
Yeah, it is.
Yes? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Glenn. Mr. Lampa.
Just echoing you, Mr. Lombardo, Billy, thank you for our water leak on Apache. They were out there in that cold weather and working hard, and I appreciate that.
Mr. Ring.
I have no comments.
Yeah, I just, obviously, I saw that report today that lots of projects are coming down the pipeline here. I know the mayor, you communicate very well on Facebook, social media, so hopefully we can rely on that. Hopefully everybody follows your page for updates, and everyone up here can share it out, get it out to the residents. It's a great project, but you know it's going to come with some inconvenience. The only thing I want to mention is, and I know you mentioned that the Turnpike and whatever other organization, they don't really talk to each other. I would hope that there's some sort of better thinking put into place when we're in these pre-con meetings. That, like, for example, like if the Page Road Bridge is closed and the detour is like down Pike Parkway or something, right? That they're not doing that section of 43. You know, well, I guess that wouldn't, because that's a new section, correct? So, but you understand what I'm saying, like that there's not, like, we're not pushing all these people one way, and then all of a sudden there's construction going on at that point too. And I know, like, I talked to, as an employee of the school, I talked to the transportation person today, and we were kind of just talking about how much of an inconvenience it is for
Just having a fit, huh?
them. Yeah. I mean, they told me it affects 9 bus routes. It's going to cost a lot more money, right, to go around. You know, some of those people that get their kids on and off the bus, like, it's going to affect, you know, up to like 25 minutes. You know, some people, just because they're used to getting on the bus first, now they might get on last just because of the new route. So it's definitely going to be very inconvenient for a lot of people involved. But you know, I think the best way to handle that is really just to communicate, and hopefully we have a good plan in place, and hopefully the people that are in this room in those meetings kind of think through all those different possibilities. I know that's a very, very inconvenient spot because there's not really an easy way around to that, but
We'll make sure that not only we keep social media, but Matt will make sure that we keep it up on the front page of the website too. You know, so that something is there. Once it gets past a couple days on Facebook, it disappears off the thing. And if we have it on the website, it's going to be something, because they did talk about it. I saw not the plans today, but I did see they were talking about the phasing, phase 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, and you know the way that they had it in there. And once we go to the pre-con, because a lot of this stuff was written in engineer language, okay, and I understand some of it, but not all of it. So when we go to the pre-con, I can ask in plain guy language and see what the heck is going, and then that way we can put it out for. So yeah, we want to make sure this is not. I am not looking forward to this summer.
I would just ask too that, you know, just everybody up here on city council, we all kind of, you know, have our own respective followings and stuff like that. But I think it's good to have one kind of unified person, the mayor, sharing it out, so then that way it's not like, hey, you know, John Hannon said take this route because it's, you know what I mean? Like, hey, here's the official detour, here's the official plan, here's what the official delay is, whatever the case may be. You know, I love sharing your stuff because it comes directly from you, and you know, you're getting that information directly from somebody else. So I think that's the best way for us to approach it, is just to have that single channel and share it out from you.
We'll do our best.
That's
I'm
all.
looking forward to it.
That's all I have. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Mr. Hannon. Mr. Mishnak, I saved some of my time for you.
Thank you. I won't be needing it. Just wanted to shout out to the mayor and to Billy. Just the past few weeks, you know, the crews have really been keeping up with the roads. Just doing yeoman's work out there. So good job, guys. And I feel like, I don't have the stats to back it up, but it seems like there weren't as many crashes as we were seeing in some of the other cities. So good work. Hopefully, at least tomorrow, won't need you. So it's going to be 48. Yeah, it's going to be flooding. It's going to be our problem if this all melts.
Real time.
But just wanted to say that, and it was getting to the point where the snow was so high that there was troubles finding places in our development, you know, and so I just think they did a good job, and I know you're administering that, so good work as a resident. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mishnak. Item 13. motion to recess into executive session to consider an economic development opportunity. I don't know if anybody is or not. Not tonight.
I didn't hear who made the first.
Made the first?
You guys don't have your mics on, she can't hear.
Second.
It's like we're in a different.
Steve was first, I was
It
second.
was first.
All right, we have Mr. Mishniak as the first, and the second was Mr. Hannon.
This is just for economic development?
Just for economic development opportunity.
Okay, motion to recess, Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Lampa.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes. All right, we are in executive session.
You guys get to, I thought they had to stay.